Majority Leader McConnell cited civil rights legislation yesterday, as well he should, because he was alive to witness the harassment, jailing, and betrayal of those responsible for that legislation by a government sworn to protect them. He was alive for the redlining of Chicago and the looting of black homeowners of some $4 billion. Victims of that plunder are very much alive today. I am sure they'd love a word with the Majority Leader.
Journalist and author Ta-Nehisi Coates going directly at Majority Leader Mitch McConnell during yesterday's congressional hearing on reparations. On Tuesday, McConnell said he doesn't believe reparations are necessary and that the U.S. has made enough major gains by passing civil rights legislation and electing an African-American president. Jason Johnson, Donnie Deutsch back with me. Jason, what's your reaction to Coates' comments, and put into perspective the whole picture and how strategic Mitch McConnell is, whether you like him or not?
So two things. One, what Coates said was brilliant. It's true. It's factual. You know everything about how the Republican Party feels, that Democrats put up like an economist and a PhD and a brilliant writer, and the Republicans put out a Columbia junior and another guy who was a former NFL player from the 1970s. The absolute refusal to even have discussions. Because remember, this is just for a bill to research it. The refusal to even have a discussion.
But people don't realize that, Jason. People don't realize this is just for a bill to discuss how do we improve things.
Right. And Mitch McConnell's attitude is basically, I don't care, because Mitch McConnell isn't overly concerned about addressing the inequality in our government and our economy and the lack of humanity with which large swaths of America are perceived. Reparations is not just an issue about feeling good. I don't care about feeling good. I care about a nation that is justified in its behavior. I care about a nation that treats me and people who look like me fairly. I care about a nation that acknowledges the fact that these policies didn't just magically end when the civil rights movement ended and Martin Luther King was killed, that there is still massive discrimination in the economy and in our government and in criminal justice today. To the degree that Mitch McConnell doesn't want to address that, he defines what the Republican Party is today.
Donnie?
Mitch McConnell, the fact that he's the ignorance and the abhorrence of saying, oh, we elected a black president, so that kind of evens the score of the most deplorable history notion of who we were as a country with slavery. Having said that, and I keep going back to the world is not okay until we beat Donald Trump. You want to solve racial issues, you want to solve immigration issues, and that this issue. Forget that the issue itself, morally and nobly, is the right thing to talk about and address. Weaving it into the political discourse in this political campaign is going to be very damaging to the Democrats. So I am just talking about, I want this evil man out of office.
Jason, to this point.
And by the way, giving him that to mold the way he wants to mold it, the same way he can mold socialism. So I keep coming back to evil in the White House, got to get it out. Maybe it's a discussion for another day.
And this takes you back to Joe Biden.
Exactly.
While you didn't, many people can say, why is he saying that? This week, the president doubled down on his take on the Central Park Five,
right.
Who in 1989, he took out an ad in the New York Times and said, let's bring back the death penalty. We're not talking about that. And we're talking about how Joe Biden should have chosen different people's names to say. Is this a mistake?
With our discussion of the Central Park Five, with our discussion of deportation, the concern that a lot of people have out there is that if Joe Biden has these kind of attitudes, he's just going to be Donald Trump light. And that's what people.
But is Donald Trump light better than Donald Trump?
If you're still dying in the streets and if you're being
Joe
deported.
Biden is a far way from Donald Trump.
Yes, he is, but the perception that he would be Donald Trump light is a legitimate concern on the part of voters.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.